So, hey there, my name is Akshay, and welcome back to Geeks for Geeks, and welcome back to the SQL course. And in this course, I have already explained you multiple things like how do we create a database, how do we create tables inside that database, and how do we manipulate data inside that tables, right? So, we have already learned about multiple commands in SQL, and I have already explained you different operators and different constraints inside the tables. Okay, so let us start our today's video uh, by the default command. So default is was a constraint that was listed in the constraints video, right? And I didn't explain you the usage of default. So in today's video, we are going to learn about the default constraints, and there will be two more important topics, and those topics are create index and auto increment. Okay, so I'll cover these three topics today's video. That is the default constraints and the create index, and the third one is auto increment. Okay, now let us start with the default constraints. So for that, first, let me open the MySQL command line. Okay. So this is our command line, and the password was root. Okay. So we have created the database GFG over here, and I've used the GFG database. And let me create. Let me first show you all the tables that were previously created. So these were all the tables that we previously created. And as you can see, there are multiple tables inside this database. And you may be wondering, why do I create tables inside each and every video, right? So the basic concept behind creating tables in each and every video is making you remember all of the topics that were covered in the previous video. Like if I write some command again and again throughout this course, you will learn that command by heart, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. And in today's video, we are going to learn about the default constraints. So for learning the default constraints, I'll also create the table because constraints are used while creating a table, right? So the default constraint is used to set a default value for a column. That is the basic definition of the default constraints. Let me write it down. And the previous video, I have explained you how to we write comments, right? So for that, we'll use the slash and star, and after that you can write default. You can write anything over here, and it's not gonna show you any kind of error because this is all a comment. And so today's topic is default constraints, and the basic definition of default constraints is it is used to set a default value for a column. The default value will be added to all the new records if no other value is specified. Like if we are trying to insert the data inside a table and you don't provide any values inside a specific column or a single column or two columns which have the default constraints over there. So it's going to take the default value as you have given while specifying the table, right? So you can use that while creating the table so that your data may be more consistent and well defined. Now let us create a table and try to implement this. So I have ended this comment over here, and I'm going to create a table. So create table. Uh, Person table already exists. So first let me delete that table. Delete dot table persons. Right. So this table is now deleted that I previously created over here. Okay. Now let me create another table, persons. Okay. And inside this table there will be multiple columns. The first column name is ID, and its data type should be integer. It should not be null. So see, if you are working on a real data, then you must provide constraints inside your table. Like in the previous video, I skipped creating constraints. Like I skipped while creating tables, right? So don't do that while you're working on your main project because it's gonna cause you a lot of trouble. So the next column should be last name, and the data type should be varchar, and the length should be, let's say, 255, right? And the constraint should be not null, and then name and varchar, After that, you will have to give the value that is 255, and I'm not going to give not null over here. Then for the next column, I'll write age, and age data type should be integer, and the next column should be city, and the data type should be character, like the variable character, and the length should be 255. Then after that, we are providing a default constraint in that. So I have written default over here, and for the default, I'll uh, for the city, right? So let me write down New York, right? And after that, I'll just close the table and create this table. So this table is now created. Now let me try to show you the description of this table. So for that, desk was right. So this is the table that we just created, and as you can see, all of our constraints are applied over here that we provided. Like the not null is applied in the ID column, then the not null is also applied in the last name column, and we provide the default constraint in the last column, that is the city. So if we don't provide a city in the given input that we are trying to insert inside this table, so it's gonna take the uh, default as New York. So now let me insert a row inside this table. Uh, Insert into persons, and insert into persons values, and for the values I'll give, let's say the ID should be 1, and the last name should be Dale. Wait, let's take Indian names. I'm gonna take Sharma over here, and for the first name I'll give Rohan, and then for the age I'll give, let's say, 19, and at the end I won't provide any city over it. And I'm gonna press enter. Wait, column count doesn't match, and so we also have to provide the column names over here to insert data, uh, like ID plus name. Then the third column was first name, fourth column was age, fifth column was city, and we are not providing any values for the city. So yeah, these are the column names that we provided over here, and let us try to insert this data. Now let me insert one more row, and in this row I'll just put another value over here, like I'm giving the name of the city. Okay, and let's just leave the record as it is, and we are going to insert the duplicate values over here, and let me write down uh, something else, like Mexico. Okay, it's just a random record, and I'm trying to insert Mexico inside the city column. Okay. Now if we try to insert this row is also inserted. Now let me show you the description of this table. Select asterisk from parse, and as you can see, so by default the column takes the value as New York, right? And the city is Mexico, right? So yeah, that is the basic query to set the default value of any column. Okay. Now let us move on to the next thing. You can also use this default constraints by providing the alter table command. Okay. Now if I want to change the default from this table, for that, what will I do? I'll write the alter table command and alter table persons and alter city, then set default, and for the default, I'll set XYZ this time. And okay, so this is now affected, and zero rows affected means that the previous values that took the default as New York are not going to change. I think. So yeah, as you can see, the default value that was set to New York is not changed yet. And if I try to insert more rows, like without the column city over there, then it's gonna take XYZ this time. So yeah, as you can see, now it is taking the default value as XYZ, right? So that is the basic use of default constraints. And how do we delete this default constraint? So for that, I'll also show you the query. For that, you just have to write down alter table, table name, and alter city drop default. Okay. So this table, this query deletes the default constraints of that table. And if we try to insert the data like this, then it's going to show us an error because it can't have a default value, right? So that's how we use the default constraint. Okay, so that is it for the default constraint. Now let us move on to the next topic. That is the index creation. Okay. So I have already explained you about how do we create indexes, like what are indexes, right? Now in this video, I'll also tell you about how do we create these indexes. So the create index statement is used to create indexes in a table. Now, what are these indexes? So indexes are used to retrieve the data from the database more quickly than otherwise. And the users cannot see the indexes. They are just used to speed up searches and queries, right? So these are the indexes that we usually use. Okay. And how do we create these indexes? So for that, I'll write down a basic syntax for that. Okay. So the basic syntax of creating indexes is create index, then after that index name, and after that you have to give on table name, and then inside the brackets you have to give the column name, like column 1, column 2, and in a similar manner you can provide as many columns as you want. Okay, now this is the basic syntax of creating indexes. And yeah, so there's one more thing that you can also create unique indexes. So you have to add the word unique index after that, and the rest of the query will be same on table and column name, right? So this is the syntax. This is the syntax of creating unique index inside a table. Now let us try to create indexes inside our table person. So for that, I'll use the description command to show you description of persons table that we just created a few minutes ago. And yeah, so this is our persons table. So I'm gonna try to create an index inside this table. So create index. Let's say the index name is shortcut, and then after that on table name that is person, and inside the columns you have to give column name. So for the column name I'll give ID, then first name. Okay, so these are the two columns that I am providing inside the indexes. Okay, so wait, uh, yeah, that's how we create indexes inside this table. Okay, wait, on persons, then after that you have to get the column name, right? ID and plus then put a semicolon over there. So this is gonna create our index name shortcut, and this index is now created. Now let me show you how do we show the index. So for that, select index Okay. There is yeah. So we have to use show over there, and after the show command, you have to give index from persons. So it is showing us in two indexes inside this particular table, and these will be used to quickly get the records, and the user won't be able to see these indexes because they are basically used for search engines. Okay. And that's how we create index inside this MySQL. And yeah. And how do we delete these indexes? Okay. So for deleting the indexes, I'll use the alter command, alter table persons and drop index short. Okay. So shortcut was the name of our index, and we are deleting this index. So this index is also deleted, and that's how we create the indexes inside our table using the create index command. Okay. So and this command show index from table name is used to show the indexes. Okay. So these are the basic queries that you need to learn create indexes. Now let us move on to the last topic of this video. And the last topic of this video is auto increment. So let me write it down. Auto increment is the next topic of our video. And auto increment allows a unique number to be generated automatically when a new record is inserted into a table. Often, this is the primary key field that we would like to be created automatically every time a new record is inserted. Like if you are trying to create a table and you don't want to insert the rows values inside the rows of the person ID inside the person's table or the customer ID inside the customer's table. Okay, so you don't want that you have to write the name of those queries again and again. So you can provide an auto increment over there, and it's gonna take the automatically values from what we are trying to increment. Okay, so in MySQL we use the auto increment keyword to perform an auto increment features, and it will automatically increment each value by one variable. Okay. So for applying this, create a table. Let me first delete our persons table again. So this time we are gonna create another table named persons, and inside this table we'll use the previous values. Like yeah. So for that, I'll use the similar values like previously used, and I'll also add something over here like the auto increment. So when you are writing it down, you have to write it like this, and you have to put a semicolon between uh, auto and increment, right? And after that, you can press enter to create this column. Wait, it's gonna show us an error because we have not provided the circular brackets over there. So yeah, now we can create this column. Okay, so this column is now created, and for the second column, I'm going to use the previously created rows, then first name, then the age, and then after that you have to give the primary key. Okay. So let me write it down. Primary key. So the primary key inside this table is ID. Okay. Now we have given the ID as the primary key, and let me try to insert this record or create this table. So this table is now created. Now let me show you the description of this table. This person. So this table is now created, and as you can see, it is given over here that it is a primary key, and it has the feature extra called the auto increment. Now let us try to insert rows inside this table. So insert into persons, and for the value, I am not providing the ID, right? So I'll have to give the column name, last name, then first name, then the third column was age, right? So these are the column names. Then I have to write values over here to insert the values. So for the last name, I'll give X, and for the first name, I'll give A, and for the age, I'll give 90. Okay. So this is our first row, and I'll change the data a little bit and insert more rows. And so these three are inserted inside our table. Now let me show you the data inside this table by using the select command. Select asterisk from persons, and as you can see, the ID column is already filled, and we didn't provide any values inside this table. So why does this happen? This happens because we provided the extra feature as auto increment over here, and this is automatically incrementing the value and starting from 1. Now, if I want the value to be started from 100, so how will we do that? So for that, I'll have to alter the table a little bit, and you can do this also while creating the table and just changing the value of auto increment inside this table, and increment is equal to, let's say, 100. Okay, and after that I'll press enter. So this value is now changed, and let me try to insert uh, some more rows, like with the same amount of data, and this row is now inserted. Now let me show you the description of this table. Let me just insert this row again. So there are two more rows inserted inside the table, and let me show you the table. Okay, so auto increment value was set to 100. This shouldn't be happening. It's just getting the value from 1 by increasing 1. What it should happen is it should start the value from 100, and then it should increase the value like 101 and 102. Okay, so that's how this statement works. There must be some problem inside this particular command line. Okay, that is the basic function of auto increment, and we can also provide a start value over there so that the system will know that you have to start from 100, and that's how we use the auto increment command. So I think that is it for this video, guys, and I've already covered the three topics uh, that I was trying to teach in today's video, and those three topics were the default constraint, the create index, and the auto increment. You may remember all of these topics by now, and let me show you another thing. Okay, so for that I'll use the prepare like the Firefox. Okay. Now you can go to practice.geeksforgeeks.org, and you can go to courses over there, and you can search for any course that you want, and you can buy these courses, which are very useful for any individual who's trying to learn at his own pace. And just like SQL, so you if you are learning SQL and you are having doubts, you can either comment down this video, or you can search for SQL course and raise your query over there. So if you search for SQL, there's a SQL foundation course available over here. And if you are buying this course, then you can learn at your own pace, and you'll get proper mentorship from professionals, and you can also clear your doubts over there. So yeah, that is it for this video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.